More than 30 million people around the world are estimated to be infected with HIV/AIDS, and the virus claims almost 2 million lives a year. It's a gloomy statistic, but one Australian's trying to give hope to sufferers by taking on the world's toughest bite challenge. Connor Duffy reports.
It's just one of those things that I just love doing. Always have loved it.
In the early morning Sydney chill, this group of committed cyclists begins arriving while the city is still asleep.
We've got to settle in on the bunches. So we're doing a lap and a half around the park before we go.
It's one of the biggest riding clubs in the country. Its captain is Stephen Berveling, who is about to embark on the toughest event in world cycling, the race across America.
We're going to be climbing 33,000 metres in vertical elevations, which is the equivalent of 3.5 Mount Everests. The Tour de France takes 3 weeks. We're proposing to take 1 week. We race 24 hours a day.
The race across America is featured in the movie Bicycle Dreams. It runs from San Diego in the west to Baltimore in the east and covers emblematic sites like Monument Valley. The tough conditions mean Stephen Berveling has to keep training long after the pack has gone home. As if just doing the race isn't hard enough, all but one of the 4 riders on Stephen's team have HIV/AIDS.
We're doing this because we're the first ever team of racers with HIV, and we can do that because we can now enter the USA lawfully, just like any other person. And this year in 2011, it happens to be the 30th anniversary of the race across America and the 30th anniversary of the first diagnoses of HIV/AIDS in 1981.
There are a lot of people who would find it really hard to come out and be public around their HIV status. Their family may not know, their work may not know. So when we've got people who can be public about it, it's a fantastic thing.
Stephen Berveling says that when he was first diagnosed with HIV in 1996, he lost confidence and almost lost his life. He went blind for 12 months and gave up the sport he loves.
I was very, very, very ill. It transpired that I overheard 2 of the nurses, and one of them confirmed after me that they'd made an appointment for me at the morgue in 2 days' time. And I decided right there and then that I was not going to the morgue.
Stephen came in here 15 years ago, acutely infected with HIV, feeling pretty terribly, both physically and emotionally. And the first few years he was here quite a deal. He was getting used to the idea of being on treatment, and he's been on treatment ever since.
Hi.
Good morning.
How are you?
Dr. Andrew Carr has been treating Stephen Berveling ever since that first diagnosis 15 years ago.
How's your training going?
The training is going so solidly. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning.
You're better you than me.
These sessions now only happen every 6 months, and today Stephen is getting the medication he'll need to keep him healthy on the ride.
And your viral load, of course, is undetectable.
It's undetectable, which is terrific.
T cells are 840, so
yep,
that's perfectly normal.
Dr. Carr has given Stephen his blessing for his cycling challenge.
I'm partly inspired and partly ashamed. He does things that I couldn't do. Both. I think there's a big physical thing that he's putting himself through, and I think there's a big mental thing that he's putting himself through.
Stephen Berveling leaves for America at the end of the month, and until then, he'll keep up his gruelling routine, cycling more than 500 kilometres a week.
Why would you subject yourself to that? It sounds like hell.
We want to do this because we want to confirm that having HIV is not an obstacle to doing these very, very tough endurance races. Having HIV is not an obstacle to doing anything else in life.
Connor Duffy reporting.